Right, welcome. REY movie. New Jedi Order. Star Wars. Are you sick of it yet? Most people are, hence the declining box office. Well, anyway, this film that Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger and Lucasfilm, that they've been threatening us with for years now. 2 years. We've got a new writer. I think this is the fourth writer. Because originally it was one chap, but then he got a writing partner. That was actually their idea to make this movie. They got to the director. They then left, which was weird. Then they signed on apparently Stephen Knight. I don't think they ever did, actually. I think they just used his name. And then we've got this chap. Well, anyway, he's now come out and confirmed it. And he's sort of spoken about his approach to Star Wars. I'm not going to rag on it too much. Some of it actually sounds quite good, to be honest. But does that mean that they're going to make a good movie? No, of course not. So, go into it, I guess, with that approach. But anyway, whatever. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Do turn those bell notifications on. And especially hit subscribe if you're a returning viewer that's not yet subscribed. It would mean the world to me. And it really does help, sort of YouTube ranking this channel and pushing it out there just that little bit more. There's a lot of people that keep coming back that are not yet subscribed. So it'd be great to have you here more often. But anyway, so this is reported over on StarWarsNewsNet.com, and it says new Jedi Order writer George Nolfi speaks up on his approach to Star Wars and the upcoming film. Oh yes, but you can't bloody wait. This guy's a weird pick for this, to be fair. He helped write one of the John Wicks. It is a weird pick. It is a weird pick. I'm surprised. But anyway, says this. The ink is still fresh on the report about George Nolfi boarding the Daisy Ridley-led New Jedi Order movie that Lucasfilm has been threatening for 2 years. And the writer has now confirmed his involvement in the new project. I mean, for starters as well, why is it taking you so long? If writers come to you and they're like, we've got an idea, let's go. And they then leave the project after you get a director on board. That's a real bad sign, because it says that their idea that they pitched you is now no longer what it was originally greenlit for. You're changing it. It's a real bad sign. It doesn't take 2 years to develop a movie, for God's sake. So speaking to the British magazine Film Stories, Nolfi was asked about how he plans to approach writing the new movie. He mostly focused on being a team player that would build up from the ideas that predate his arrival to the project and try to bring some of his own take on them. But again, why would the initial people leave? Why? It's weird, isn't it? It is weird, but we're still going to build on it. Why? So he says this. The way I approach it is you look at what's come before you. You look at the broad ideas of what they want to do. Meaning Lucasfilm, Disney, Charmin, the director, and then you do what a writer does. See, that's actually wrong. That's wrong. It wasn't their ideas. It wasn't their ideas. It wasn't their ideas at all. How bizarre. Anyway, whatever. And try and put beats of a story together. Try and imagine characters. And then you present that with an understanding that it needs to honour, obviously, a long, incredible tradition. You're like, okay, yeah, fine, sure. Some of this stuff is like, this is fine. This is very bland, normal crap, right? This is basic stuff. Anyway, there's more. So he went on to talk about the larger canvas that any new writer is going to work on when they board a Star Wars movie. Now, this is the stuff that I think people will be at least a little bit happy with, If you think about George Lucas, the 6 movies that he did, and the universe that he created, it's actually very steeped in broad notions of politics. It's not talking about today per se, but there's the empire's Nazism / Roman Empire, the democracy of the Roman Empire collapsing and becoming an empire, and what? The democracy of the Roman Empire collapsing and becoming an empire, and the perennial story of human beings organising themselves and against chaos. This doesn't make too much sense, but fine, whatever. And then the tools that help human societies tamp down on chaos becomes oppression. I don't necessarily agree that you know, it was to do with the Roman Empire collapsing. You know, the original stuff had nothing really to do with that. I guess you could say there's beats of that in there a little bit, but it wasn't really about that, was it? But anyway, whatever. So that is really the very core of what I think George Lucas was trying to talk about. And one of the wonderful things about science fiction and Star Wars, which is more almost science fantasy or space opera, is that you can raise the deepest issues without it feeling like a philosophy class or a political science class or something I read in the newspaper today. Yeah, I mean, keep it out, like, hugely of current day politics. No one wants to see some blonde fucking emperor, all right? And, you know, with a little tinge of orange. It's just going to annoy people. Because then people will just go, oh, well, that's very clearly Trump. Like, just keep it out of modern day politics, for goodness sake. And it says this. This is also not the first time Nolfi publicly talks about Star Wars. Check out this story we published back in November 2012, filled with Hollywood names who have all gone on to work for Lucasfilm at some point. He said about the prospect of exploring new post-Return of the Jedi stories. So he says, look, I can't imagine a larger event film for our generation than a sequel to Return of the Jedi. Star Wars literally defined the magic of movies to me as a child. No other film had more impact on my subconscious desire to become a filmmaker. I mean, it's not bad. You know, again, some of his comments are pretty decent. I think. But it's Lucasfilm, isn't it? And they're a disaster. And it says this. Nolfi's currently out promoting his new movie Elevation, which drops on Prime Video February 8th, starring Anthony Mackie. He's the third rotation of writers on this movie. Well, he's the fourth writer, because it was Damon Lindelof actually pitched this movie. He pitched the movie. And then he got on board Justin Britt Gibson to work with him, like a few months after that. And they came up with the idea of a post-Rise of Skywalker movie featuring an elder Rey. That was literally their idea. And then it says this. Lucasfilm would scrap those plans in favour of bringing Daisy Ridley back as the character in an era now dubbed New Jedi Order. But you could still do all of those things, just not have her super old. But never mind. They were even going to recast her. Actually have an old actor. It says this. Through a script now written by Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight. He dropped out last summer with Nolfi boarding the project in the fall. So he is the fourth writer. This is a disaster. It's unclear whether this will be a page one rewrite. But Nolfi's comments seem to point more in that direction than a polish of what was already there. I mean, this movie's never happening. It was announced in 2023, for goodness sake. Like, what a joke. What an absolute joke. So there you go. He's now talking about it. It's more Star Wars, Daisy Ridley, Rey nonsense. Some of the comments are okay. Some of them are drivel. And it's Lucasfilm at the end of the day. And also, it's the apathy from the audience. No one really cares. No one really cares. So let me know what you think down below. Let me know your thoughts. Cheers, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.